All right, so a lot of you know I like to have a little teachable moment, so I'm going to give you a little teachable moment, and then I'll turn it over to your presidente. But I wanted to share real quick. I think most of you know I'm in school, right? All of you know I'm still in school, yet in school, doing this doctoral program. But one of the things that we're learning about right now, I wanted to share with you ideology. Okay, so I like to bring up this kind of stuff in student council because this is kind of a political thing. All right, so who can tell me what an ideology is? That's a big word. It gets thrown around a lot. Some people say, "Oh, you're just an ideologue." Ideologue.
It's an idea. It's
okay, you're getting somewhere. Yes.
It's ideas that are passed down.
Okay,
ideas to describe people.
That's an interesting point. Anybody else have any? What do you say, Truth?
Worshipping something.
Oh. Now that is really interesting, Truth, that you bring it up, because that's what I'm going to talk about today. You just said it's worshiping something. Now, I think the word that you're thinking of is this word. Idolatry. Okay. Now the funny thing is that's exactly what my course I'm studying about right now is the idea, the interrelating of ideology and idolatry. Okay, so let's talk about ideology. So yes, it's an idea, right? It's an idea. It's a framework. Some people say it's a worldview. Other people say no, it's a little more narrow than a worldview. Like our worldviews are a little bit bigger. So we could talk about worldviews, right? Basically, there are two worldviews, right? You guys know that? So if we're going to boil it down, how many worldviews are there? There's whose view and who else's view?
Yours and mine.
No.
Yours and others?
There is God's view
And ours.
And there is not God's view. Okay? So basically there's a biblical worldview and then everybody else who tries to make things work without a biblical perspective. So out of a worldview come ideas about how things should work. So basically an ideology is how you think society should work and function. And usually everybody, I think, agrees, I don't think there's anybody who agrees, that there is something wrong with society. And when I mean society, I mean anytime any human being has been around and you're living around and you say, gee, things aren't quite like they probably should be, right? Everybody can see that there are problems.
Not like the 90s.
Oh man, the 90s were the golden age, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Just look at the fashion, man. It was not good. Anyway, so you guys tracking with me? So an ideology. So let me tell you according to my course, which at this point I'm just going with it. So here are some ideologies you probably all have heard of. Okay? How about this one? We'll start with this one. We'll start with socialism. Socialism. That's been getting talked about a lot right now.
Socialism turns into communism.
Okay, socialism. How about this one? Conservatism. You probably heard of that, right? If you're conservative. Another one, liberalism. That's probably one of the most interesting because it's been so confused as to what you mean by that. So those are some of the ones I've talked about. We'll talk about those. Oh, here's another one. Nationalism. You guys heard that one thrown around recently? A lot of people talking about nationalism. And then the other core, I haven't really studied much about it, but the other one is called just simply democracy.
What about?
Now the guy who's reading the book I'm reading is basically boiled down. But anyway, and I'm not going to get into a discussion about all those today, so don't worry. But each one of those, we could sit down and have a discussion about what do each of those ideologies think is wrong with the world. So just for the sake of the discussion, we'll talk about socialism and we'll talk about conservatism, since those are a little more popular. Okay, socialism, an ideology basically looks at the world and says there's something wrong and we have some ideas of how we ought to fix it and how everything will be good. So if we just take the ideas that we have and we apply it, then the world will be good. So the book I'm reading right now puts it this way, that basically every ideology has a history, has a story, has a creation story, and has a story of basically the end. How are we going to make everything great. Now, if you look at our Bibles, what's the biblical story? The biblical story is what? God created. How did everything start out? Was it bad from the start, or was it good? It wasn't just good, it was very good. It was perfect. We did not have suffering, we didn't have death, we did not have any of those things. God created a perfect world, perfect fellowship between fellow men and between man and God, right? What happened? What's the problem? Sin, which we call what? The fall. Or if you like the clever 7 C's that Genesis uses, which is pretty helpful, you have a creation, you had a corruption, right? Adam and Eve disobeyed God, broke fellowship with God, sin entered into the world, death by sin. Within what? 1 generation, what happens? We had the first murder between Cain and Abel, and everything has just gone south since then, right? Been really bad. God's had to intervene once with a flood because things got so bad, and we're getting pretty bad again. So what's our problem according to the Bible? Our problem is what?
Sin.
Right. Sin in who?
Man.
In us. Each of us, right? We've got original sin, this heritage that we get from Adam, who sinned, and then our own human nature, we have this propensity to sin. So are we wanting that, before you become a Christian, do you want to follow God or do you not want to follow God?
No.
Our natural tendency is to rebellion, right? Against God. That's one way to look at history, is this constant tension of man rebelling against how things are and trying to do things without God. What's God's fix for that?
Jesus.
Right. Redemption, right? Redemption through who?
Jesus.
Through Jesus. Through Jesus coming as a human being, as a representative of the human race, what we call the second Adam, to die in our place, take God's punishment, His wrath for our sins, so that that relationship is restored with Him. And what's going to be the end result? What are we looking forward to? Are we looking forward to a restored... let me say it again. Did Jesus come so that He could fix all our temporal problems right now?
No.
What is the end goal? When is everything... New heaven and new earth with those who have what? Who have trusted in Jesus' sacrifice and have been redeemed. That's our focus, right? That's the biblical narrative. If you look at every ideology, it's really interesting. You look at every ideology, whether it's socialism, conservatism, liberalism, nationalism, democracy, any of those, they all have a modified version of that story. They say, well, this is how things were, this is where things went wrong, this is what we need to do to fix it, and then everything will be great, okay? So just as an example, let me tell you what the socialists believe, okay? And this is what you are puking all over the table, Truth. I want to be very clear. I want to be really clear. If you don't have a biblical worldview, you are going to get off into the weeds no matter what your ideology is. I don't care if you're a socialist, a conservative, a liberal, or whatever. If you're not looking at things from a biblical worldview, you are going to fall into idolatry, where you put something other than Jesus and His salvation as the key to saving society. So, before you look down your nose at your socialist counterparts, you better look down your own nose at you. Because here's the deal. Every single person in these categories, okay, maybe not everybody, but everyone who's sincerely thinking, I've got the answer to the problem. They're sincere. They want to fix the problem, and they think, I've got the cure. So here's what the socialists believe. They believe that the problem, and this is really important, every one of these ideologies thinks that the answer lies somewhere in some aspect of creation's fallenness. Okay? What do I mean by that? Meaning the problem's out there. None of them say, oh, well, actually the problem is in here. That's the biblical perspective, is that our corrupt rebellion against God is the problem. So the socialist, he looks out and says, gosh, look at all this inequality. Look at these people who are really rich and look at these people who are really poor. Look at this oppression that's going on in all these different areas of the world. Now, they have a point, right? Is there oppression in the world? Oh, yeah. Do rich people take advantage of poor people? Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's a legitimate criticism. That's a legitimate recognition of what's going on. But here's the question. here's what the socialists think is the solution to this. Let's make everybody equal. If everybody had the same amount, and everybody was on the same playing field, and everybody had the same amount, and we all just are on the same playing field, we all have the same, amount of money, and we all have the same amount of opportunity, and it's like we're all good, then everything will be great. That is socialism in a nutshell. And they think, okay, first way we got to get there is we'll never get anybody to actually give up their private property. So we got to get rid of private property. So we got to give all the property to one collective guardian, i.e. the state, right? And the state, they're going to do a good job making sure that everybody gets a fair deal and everybody's, at a right spot and all this. So they think that as long as we redistribute all the wealth and everybody's at the right spot and equal, then that will solve all our problems. What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's...
Okay, well, that's their point. They've solved that. The state's going to make you give up your stuff. Okay? But what's the problem with that? Let's just imagine. Now, this has never happened. Socialism, probably of any of the ideologies, is probably the most fictional, because it's never been done as far as what they've called. Now, the attempts have been made, but you know what? They never get to total equality. What happens? All those people who become the guardians of the state, they say, well, this is a nice job. I like this. And do they follow through? No, they don't. It turns into, well, what it turns into is not even communism or socialism. It turns into tyranny. It turns into totalitarian government. It turns into the widest class you could ever imagine. That people at the top, a small group, control all the resources, and everybody else has nothing, or very little, except for what the government deems that they should have. So the problem is you never get to equality. But just for the sake of the argument, let's ask the question, what would happen if everybody got equal? So let's just say, even in our little group here, okay, how many are this? About 9, 10 of us? Let's say that I said, okay, let's just pretend I'm going to give everybody $100. Everybody gets $100. And that's all you have. You have $100. I'm going to give you $100. How long do you think it would take for you all to all of a sudden not be equal anymore?
Pretty quickly, I could spend $100 right away.
Right, because I'm with you. Isaiah and I, we're going to go out this weekend and we're going to blow $100 on whatever. And we're going to come back and say, And Mercy and Charity back there, they're going to go and they're going to invest their money in the bank and start earning interest, or who knows. And they come back next week and they have $150. And Isaiah and I are furious. What happened to the equality? You guys have 150 and we have nothing. That's not fair. Well, what happened?
Careless.
Isaiah and I were not wise with our money. We were foolish. Now, here's the thing. We can presume that Mercy and Charity were too, but honestly, we don't know, because we don't know what's in people's hearts as far as what they're doing. But the bottom line is, how quickly would a little group like this start looking at everybody else and saying, they've got $152. I only have $151. They're not equal anymore. How do you possibly maintain? And the problem is that, what is that all flowing out of? Our tendency to what? The Bible says that we compare ourselves, right? We're always comparing. What is the 10th commandment?
Not to covet.
Not to covet. What else does the Bible say? You shouldn't envy other people. Okay, so that's a big problem with socialism, that it is rooted in a reality that doesn't exist. There is no such thing as equality, and there's also no such thing as anybody saying, oh, well, I'm happy that we are all equal. Because human nature is not that way. We're looking for the next opportunity to how to get ourselves a little bit ahead of the other guy. We are naturally predisposed to coveting, to envying, to wanting to do things. And that, my friends, is why the Bible does not talk about equality, but it has a lot to say about justice, and it has a lot to say about righteousness. And it does say, if you're a rich person, you better watch it, that you're not using your position and power to exploit other people. We talked about exploitation in our class last week, okay? So that's the whole point. Is when you guys are thinking through different things that are going on in the world around you, on the one hand, there are things that each one of these ideologies contribute to the discussion, okay? It's kind of like the old saying about, well, you know, even so-and-so is right. You know, the broken clock is right twice a day, right? So even an ideology that has what we call an element of idolatry, where it's putting something else in the place of God as the answer to the problem, they usually at least have captured some part of the puzzle. But only a biblical worldview can you come to it and say, okay, well, what's the real answer here? What's the real need? What do people really need? And you start evaluating issues from that perspective and not from your ideology. I heard a guy this weekend say it really well. He said, unfortunately, a lot of times we let our ideology dictate our theology. That's a fancy way of saying we let these other ideas dictate how we think about God and how we think about the world around us, instead of the other way around. You should let your theology, i.e., love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, that should dictate your ideology. That should dictate how you're looking at the issues around you, okay? So remember that when you're talking with people. Remember that when you're reading something in the news, when you hear about this or that or whatever. And as a Christian, I would caution you, as you're developing your own thoughts and as your own worldview, be really, really careful not to just take a label and put it on yourself and say, that's right, that's what I am. I'm a conservative. Okay, so you're a conservative. Well, you know what conservatism means? It means you conserve. It means you save. So, you know, Barry, if you were running the Seattle Seahawks and you were a conservative and all your players stank, you're like, nope, I'm a conservative. I'm going to save all these players because that's what I do. Well, that wouldn't be very smart, right? No, you want to be conservative. You need to bring some change because these people aren't doing so. If you were living in the South in the 1850s and you were a conservative, you know what that meant? You're just fine with slavery because that's one of the institutions that exists. Okay, so you can't just be your label, okay? Now, I tend to think that conservatism has some good things to offer, because if you look at it in the context of what does it mean to be, for instance, a conservative in light of a biblical perspective? Okay, well that means, to me, that means we have institutions that God has ordained, i.e. the family, marriage, government. Government has a role, and that God has established those things. So as a Christian who thinks about things in a conservative way, I want to conserve. I want to keep those things that were good, that were given us by God. But I got to make sure that I'm lining up with the Bible when it comes to those things, right? And that I'm not looking and saying, well, hey, we've had this around for all this time. I mean, if we were just been talking to my kids at home about the Old Testament and all these guys who had all these wives. David had like 7 wives. I mean, that's something we didn't want to conserve, that kind of operation, because that wasn't what God had given us, right? You need to go back. Sometimes you got to bring reform. We just had Reformation Day. We just talked about Martin Luther. Martin Luther started as a conservative, but he didn't end as one. He went back to try to be an original conservative, right? I want to go back to the scripture, but it meant he had to bring reform. So, you understand what I'm saying? Let the scripture dictate your ideology. Don't let your ideology dictate how you view God's word, right? Otherwise, you end up as an ideologue who's an idolater as well. You're worshiping something other than God as a solution. And always remember that. Jesus did not come as a political figure. He did not come for that purpose. That was not the purpose and intent. He brought something that went way deeper. The ideology of the zealots, of the disciples, a lot of the people that he was ministering to, they were totally missing what Jesus was doing because they were so wrapped up in their ideology they couldn't even see that they had a Redeemer who was going to cut through time and history to something far better. All right? Make sense? All right, good. Thanks for permitting me to share what I've been learning about. All right. Mr. Miskimen is going to come up, President Miskimen, and I think you're going to... Looks like it's just still me.
Oh. What's that thing up in the corner?
Oh, wait a minute. SC. No, that's just student council. I don't think you have anybody in the student council whose initials are SC.
That's sad.
All right, fire away.
Okay. So we did not do a fundraiser this past week to the present, but during that time we were getting all the information, making sure that everyone had a say in what they wanted to be for a fundraiser. And the two most ones that were liked were the bake sale and the sub sale. Thank you. Sub sale. So right now we are going to. There are a couple options we can do here. We can either focus on the bake sale or focus on the sub sale, or do both at the same time, doing the sub sale at the when's the next mid-years? That's the next one.
So mid-years is, we were just looking at this, this is January, what did we say, Rick? What is it, January 14th, something like that? Yes, January 15th.
And when's the next workshop?
And then the next workshop after that is on the, I think it's on the 26th.
And that's gonna be the fourth workshop.
Right, so your mid-years meeting will be before your next workshop.
Okay. So we can either do the sub sale then, and I think you know what's happening, how to do that. Yeah. The sub sale.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's an option, you would be able to do that. So we can either do that, or we could do both at the same time, doing the bake sale until then, and then the sub sale on that day. So, yes.
Usually about how much does the sub sale bring in?
I don't know that part.
It all depends.
Yeah, it depends on.
On average, the past few
We've
times.
gotten a couple hundred.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably your biggest thing is you have to weigh out. We haven't changed the price. You haven't changed the price. You have, whoever
What's the
is.
price?
For a while, it's been like $8.50 for a sub, and that's giving you, I think, maybe, I don't know, maybe $4 clearance for each sub. I think a sub is like $4.50 or something like that from them. So you might keep it that way, or you might,
Raise it 50 cents.
go ahead and do what everybody else is doing and just jack up your prices, man, and say it's, all that salami sitting out somewhere in the bay. Can't make it here.
I said it could
Because the
raise it
shipping
50
disruptions.
cents.
Raise it.
That's the
50 cents.
highest I would raise it. I would raise it anywhere.
So we're just gonna vote on what we're going to do, so that we can just start selling, making money.
Did you say to bake sale too?
Yeah. So the most liked ideas, the sub sale and the bake sale, were equally liked. So I'm choosing that because we can't do all of them at the same time. So those were the most liked, so we're doing that one first. So who is up for doing the sub sale only? No. Who's up for doing the bake sale only? Okay. So bake sale and sub sale? Anybody?
We could do the bake sale like at workshops,
And then
Or-
the sub sale after mid-year.
or the bake sale.
I'm not sure the bread sale was one of the options, or the bake sale was the bread sale.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't think I was clear. Like, okay.
Was the
Seasonal bread is what I meant by like bake sale.
okay? Okay.
For,
yeah.
yeah.
We could do that like around Christmas by ourselves.
Yeah, because it's too late
Yeah,
to
and
fix it.
usually almost like
Mhm.
yeah.
It would be bread and stuff.
Okay. We usually have a certain set of breads, don't we, that we sell? Or is it always a different recipe?
We just find
and pumpkin and then what Chastity did is she found recipes and sent them to people.
Okay. So we're all up for the bake sale?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you had the recipes?
Yeah, we just found some online that we liked, so
Okay, so could you
I could send them
send them to me, or you could send them to
I'll send
everyone.
it to you and you can figure it out. Because who would be up for making bread?
You just send it to everyone.
Yeah, just send it to everyone, so everyone's knows wants to do if they want to contribute.
We can definitely put out a promotional
Yeah.
for you all.
Mhm.
Just a reminder. I mean, generally what we've done before is you've had a deadline for when people have needed to put in an order.
Mhm. So
And
the
then-
deadline.
so that you know how to, so you have opportunity to get it to them.
Mhm. So we can start the sale like as soon as I'm able to send out the recipes,
Okay.
and then which would probably be by this Saturday. And then the deadline would probably be, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. That sounds reasonable to me.
Probably, if you're. I mean, how long will it take you to make the bread?
You
That's the-
decide a
It
certain-
depends on how many people buy.
Oh, what?
What do we decide a certain number of days it would take to get bread to them?
Well, we need
Well, I think
to.
it probably be up to each student council member, right? How they're going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Well,
you
no,
guys.
we could say like on the thing, like.
Oh, you saying that you'll get your bread in by when?
Yeah.
By like 5 business days.
Yeah.
If you're not using the post office.
And then I guess the sale would end Christmas, because that's when the.
Well, or you would end it, you would end the orders, like you said, a week or two before Christmas.
Oh,
so
okay,
that
yeah,
you can make the bread and get it to the people
Okay.
to have for the Christmas holiday. And
How does it, like, who are the customers?
Just anybody you can sell the bread
Good,
to.
like-
Your family.
Door to door and offer
Door to
something.
door.
anybody who wants to buy for the student council.
The more the merrier.
And
That's
we,
all I said.
like I said, we would send an email out to
Just type in random
all
email,
the
just-
school folks.
Okay.
So you're saying you might mail bread?
gmail.com.
We're not mailing bread.
Probably not.
No, I was.
I mean, if you
I
have,
thought somebody said that.
if you have, well, I mean, Light has a point. You probably have lots of people in Mongolia who would like to buy the bread, so.
Yeah, somebody did about post office, so I was gonna.
I was joking about that. What I was trying to say is that in the past is basically it's on you to arrange with your customers how you're going to get them their bread. So, for instance, if you have customers at church, we'll probably buy. Now stop. Here's the thing. Oh boy, we've got all these people in our church. Am I going to buy the Shell's bread or the Cox's bread? Okay, whatever. Forget that. Anyway, the bottom line is that you work it out, and like the Misgivens, they'll work with people in their area to figure out how to get their bread to them. And then you'll keep track of your earnings
And if they don't
and then let ADIA know what you earned.
if they don't want to buy the bread, ask if they want to make a donation. Because sometimes people just always want to donate.
That's true.
Some people don't buy the bread, but they donate. So if they're not buying the bread, don't just leave. Ask them if they want to make a
Or
donation.
sometimes they'll give
Extra.
they'll give more.
What has been the? I'm not really sure. What has been the price for the breads in the past? Like it was $5 a loaf or something. We don't want to make it too expensive.
That's less than a sub.
So, huh?
That's less than a sub.
Oh.
Well, how big is the loaf? Like that
Well,
big or something?
it's-
A regular bread loaf.
Regular bread loaf. I mean,
How much have we been charging?
I mean, it's like it's more like a seasonal. It's like more like a cakeish bread. It's not.
You
Like
did.
Yeah, it's like a process.
If I'm remembering right, I think you've done one year. You did like $7.
Did we make any money on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other benefit is that you probably, because you're making your own stuff, you're gonna have less. You're gonna have less expense.
Mhm.
And it's homemade, so you could make it a little more expensive.
$10
All
a
right, you
loaf.
guys gotta decide that. Don't look at me.
$15 a loaf.
No.
Just checking.
Check
Okay.
what prices and they're good.
No, not $15. $100.
offering the Biden administration special. $25.
And that's with a coupon.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You have to,
So I guess you better decide.
if you order,
Okay.
if you order within the week,
What? Okay.
you get a discount.
Who thinks 7?
If you
7 or below? Well, not below, but $7. Above 7. Okay. So, who's up for 8? $8.
So let me interject and teach you guys something.
$8, $9.
Hey, Truth, Daniel. This is how they do it. I make a motion that we make the price of the Christmas bread fundraiser $7.50 a loaf.
I second that.
And no.
I don't.
No, then you say, very good, there's been a motion that's been made, do we have a second?
I second that. I second it
But I
first.
don't make the motion, because I'm not a member of this council. Remember, I'm the person who can dissolve it at any time. Anyway. Alright, so that's how you should do it. Someone make a motion, someone second it, and then you vote on it.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion? Any motions to make it more than 7?
I motion to do it at 7:50.
Okay, very good. Anybody want
I
to
second.
second it?
I
Any
second.
any
I third
thirds?
that.
Okay. Anybody want to make another motion?
No,
We're supposed to vote.
no. Now you vote on the motion. As soon as you got a second, then you have a vote.
Oh, okay. Do we vote on it?
All in
Okay.
favor, raise your
All in
hand.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 4 out of 3. That's majority rules.
Majority rules.
Okay. So it's $7.50 a loaf. And I hope if Ken is watching that he knows that is $7.50 a loaf. Okay. Do you know by any chance what the breads are?
What we've done in the past, cinnamon swirl, pumpkin, and lemon blueberry.
Those are very popular. Like,
Pumpkin for Christmas?
no, for Thanksgiving.
Or Christmas.
I mean, you could sell the pumpkin during the.
Rainbow bread.
Yeah, that is
Just-
true.
Yeah.
Red
I mean,
bread.
some people do have
That's what
pumpkin
we
on
should
Christmas.
use.
Pumpkin.
Okay.
We had pumpkin. We had the same bread that we made on Christmas morning.
So it's pumpkin bread, or is it pumpkin something?
It's just pumpkin bread.
Just
Yeah, and then we had like put like icing on it. And
Okay.
glaze.
Like,
And then what was the other one?
Lemon blueberry and cinnamon swirl.
Okay.
I think
Red
the
bread.
cinnamon swirl and
Cream.
You said lemon blueberry.
lemon blueberry.
Okay.
Blueberry.
Is there
Such thing as
eggnog
eggnog bread?
bread?
That would just be like rubbing
Hey,
it
you
up.
can make no.
I mean, if people are up to it, is there a way to make homemade eggnog? I never heard of it.
Yes.
Homemade eggnog.
That's eggnog we were drunk in the summer by like old farmers way back when.
Okay. We could sell
Eggnog.
if you have a recipe for making eggnog, we could sell it in like mason jars or something.
Do it like lemonade
Are-
stands.
I just don't know. Do you know if you're allowed to sell?
Sell
We don't
eggnog.
cook.
Oh yeah.
We don't cook the eggs, so
Oh.
it's
Get your
like
free
Okay.
eggnog. That's right.
we do use
Yeah,
like homegrown eggs.
I would probably discourage the
Okay.
enterprise and the.
We might make
I thought we had $1 million business
you can't
there
even
going.
sell raw milk in Maryland, so I'm probably guessing they won't be too excited about you selling
Yeah.
raw eggs. Well, okay, raw.
I thought we had $1 million
Eggnog.
business
Here's
going
your
in a
egg.
second.
Yeah,
Okay.
However, that's an interesting idea, Charity, about it, whether or not there's a recipe that actually has eggnog.
No, but you can.
If you can find one, maybe we could do that and you can send it to
That
me.
is pretty smart.
Eggnog bread, I would try it.
No, I mean the eggnog cake.
Oh. Okay. Is there anything else we need to?
Well, did you decide on your reds?
Yeah, it was cinnamon swirl, pumpkin bread, and lemon blueberry. And the bread is $7.50 because we made a motion. So.
I think if you guys look at your files, you'll also see that I think Kirsten actually put together a nice little order form last
Okay.
year.
I'll probably find it in the thing you gave
That
me.
you can, yeah, but I mean, or I can forward it to
Mail it to
whoever maybe I
WCFS.
just typed it up.
I'll
Okay.
just give it to me and, or no, yeah, give it to Ken, and then he can send it to everyone. because he's supposed to be filming.
I'll forward it to the student council leadership. How about that?
Yeah, good idea. Okay, and then, so we're doing the bread, and the sub sale is the mid-year conference. And then you'll take care of that because you know where you get them. Okay. With the subs, we're spending the student council money, or
You are spending the student council money. That is
Okay.
correct.
so she would have to contact you to get the money, just buy the subs.
Yeah, we can, basically how this works is that generally you either have someone from staff help you with that, or if you're making purchases on your own, you can get reimbursed.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right.
So what type of subs are
And I mean, usually the subs meals, you buy drinks and chips in bulk
Okay.
to round out.
When the subs are bought, are the chips bought along with that at the place, or is that bought somewhere else?
Get it out like Walmart or Sam's. Walmart.
Okay.
Boxes.
You usually get
Okay.
cheap chips at dollar store.
What type of drinks would be inside?
No.
Brisk.
It's just like
It's up to you guys.
tax.
Okay.
And you know, you can modify it too, if you guys think that.
So what type
People
of
would-
subs are we doing?
Okay. Yes.
I
We'll.
think meatball
Okay.
subs
Let's.
would be good.
No, it's talking about
But
cold.
that's also a
cold
point of
cuts.
discussion. You can talk about what kind of
Meatball
subs,
subs
options you want to get.
Do
Who doesn't like
GTs
the
sell
meatballs?
meatballs?
I don't know.
Well, you could, would we be able to compile something, or would we have to get like a food license? to
Okay,
sell?
the simple answer to that question is you cannot prepare any food on site.
So we can
Let's prepare it off-site.
Well, okay.
Meatball subs would be soggy.
Yeah.
Sure, it would be.
I mean, you could.
Right. You can check with GT to see if they have
Maybe
meatballs. They might.
Okay, if they have meatballs, then that might be an option.
Meatball subs are good.
Okay, let's figure out, besides meatball subs, what other subs? Do you know what subs we've had in the past? I know we've had like a ham and cheese or
Yeah,
something.
I'm pretty sure this is how it always worked at the expo, is that anything that was prepared off-site could be brought. So if you wanted to go down the road of like the meatball stuff and like bring a crock pot of meatballs
And then just
and
put 'em
then
on.
serve them, you could potentially
Yeah, that's what we
do
did at
that.
Expo.
But
Yeah.
we got
Sure, that's what
like
they
a,
did.
Yeah.
we got some sort of license.
We would buy like the
Right.
meatballs from like Sam's Club with the pretty good stuff.
Okay,
Do we have a license?
you'll have,
And they'll tax us on it.
okay. Yeah, you guys, we always got a little thing, I guess that was the thing that, okay, tell you what,
Are we adding taxes to the thing they buy, 6% sales tax? So we're like Delaware, no sales tax?
well, someone pays the tax, student council is effectively paying the tax, but,
No, I mean we tax people for buying.
no, you're not, you have one set fee that includes everything.
So we don't tell them it includes them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we should
The
start
50
adding
is the
taxes
tax.
to our-
50 cents tax, that's a lot of
Well,
tax.
just remember, you're adding $3.50 on top of what it costs you to buy this stuff.
Okay.
Alright, so did you decide?
So it was
What-
ham and cheese. What was the other one?
Turkey.
Turkey.
And roast beef.
Turkey and roast beef, or turkey sub, roast beef sub. Turkey and.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Jersey.
So how much are they gonna cost? Is it expensive?
It is.
Okay.
Should we like add a certain amount to what it costs to buy it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been $8.50 for a long time.
I mean, $8.50 to buy the sub, or $8.50 we sold it.
No, you've been selling it like at $8.50. I
Wait,
think it cost you
GT
about
might have raised the
$4.50.
price, so
Question.
we should probably check. the
$8.50 for the
price.
meal or $8.50 just for the
So
sub?
$8.50 for the meal.
Okay, that's
Drink.
yeah.
$8.50.
And that was the thing I was gonna say, is if you wanted to, spend drink and chips with your sub, but if you guys wanted to do something different and say,
Slushies.
Okay, I was thinking maybe a little more towards the healthy side of things. I mean, if you wanted to have fruit, I mean, fruit might be cheaper and more people might be interested in a piece of fruit than a bag of chips. I don't know.
Okay, we can do fruits and chips. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to sell,
give an
we can sell a
option.
meal, and then also if somebody just wants a bag of chips, we can sell them that. And then if somebody just wants a
Well, what is the price for the
bottle of
chip?
water.
Are we just selling water?
No, I'm just saying, it doesn't only have to be the meal, because some people might not want the meal, some
But we
people
have
might
to
just
come up
want
with
rice.
prices for those if they want to buy them separate.
Yeah. Okay, so the meal is $8.50, and it's ham and cheese and turkey and roast beef.
But was somebody making a motion to raise the price?
No, I don't think so.
The 8.50's the
850.
8.50 is just the
That's
meal.
clean.
That's a pretty good. I don't think we should raise it or lower it. Anybody think otherwise?
Want to try to
Anybody think otherwise?
raise that
Maybe we
motion
could-
anyway?
I don't think anybody.
We could
I'm just
lower
looking.
it
I'm just
to,
looking
like,
for
8
controversy in the council right here.
So you can dissolve it.
What?
So you can dissolve it.
No. I would never do that.
Drinks are we usually sell the drinks for like $1
What type of
separately,
Yeah,
just a
$1.
separate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember
it doesn't
that-
come with the meal.
No,
No,
it does.
it can, but if somebody just wants a drink, like if they already drank all they drank,
Yeah,
or they
it's like
just want
$1.
something.
So what do we sell for
$1.
drinks usually?
Like Sprite, Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Yeah,
So sodas.
water. Coca-Cola, Sprite,
Water.
Dr. Pepper.
We can sell ice cream bars.
If you wanted to do something else, you could. Ice cream bars?
We could have like a dessert
At Glenwood,
option
you can get them
instead
for
of
really
people-
cheap.
like
what,
Rice Krispies
what people are starting to like a lot is tea.
Tea,
Cold
like Rice.
Iced
tea.
tea.
Not like brisk.
like Arnold
Arizona.
Palmer.
Like Arnold Palmer, Arizona people. love
That would be more expensive.
That is.
But it, we
How
could
much?
do all
Ice cream
of it,
bars.
but-
So when you guys did the Chick-fil-A fundraiser, which was a little spendy, but you guys also did like you actually rationed out the drinks like per cup. So like 50 cents for like a cup of lemonade or a cup of
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, their stuff is expensive.
so you probably would have to sell anyway, maybe.
Yeah, sell it like that.
Okay.
Just get Country Time lemonade and whip it up.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Okay.
No.
Call it holiday punch.
Or you could just
That's
get
one of the
the
Christmas tree farms we go to.
you could just get the root
Yeah,
beer
holiday punch and-
flavoring, root beer
You know, we
flavoring
do a
for the water.
cider too. Bring a crock pot.
But this would be some still after holiday. Would people still be in the mood?
For apple cider.
Apples are a thing.
Apple cider with cinnamon.
October to like through January.
I don't
The
know.
apple cider is still.
Throw it out there, make a motion.
I'm not-
I motion we use apple cider.
Anybody second it?
Second
Okay.
what?
They second the apple cider.
So now we
Any-
voted.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 4.
No, I'm back here saying
They're not for it.
They're the
Okay.
backbenchers. They're
Okay.
part of the majority party.
Where is the apple cider going to be bought? It could be bought at Bulgars, and it's right up the road. Well, not.
They
Glenwood,
close
you
this
can get.
month.
You can
They
get-
close this month.
They close the week before Thanksgiving.
That's not.
That's it, you.
That's something
Scenic,
else.
scenic.
You can get it at Glenwood really cheap.
And I think it's pretty pricey there, so I was thinking
Yeah.
Apple sauce.
it might not be.
Where would
I
the
think
apple
everybody
cider be
should buy
bought?
a gallon.
By a
What
gallon.
is it?
A gallon, and then we just bring it there.
Apple cider? Apple cider?
Yeah.
Okay. Who, are there any motions that everyone just, not everyone, but designated people bring a gallon
Three
and
or
then,
four people. I think that would do it.
Maybe you should do
That might be
this.
too
Maybe,
much, though.
maybe you should form an exploratory committee
uh-huh.
Who
to
would
find
do that
out
part?
how much it would cost to supply.
A gallon is usually like $5.
Well, figure it out.
Okay.
And then find out how much you would charge to actually make some money on
Who are we
Okay.
gonna put in that?
I don't know.
it. That's your guys'
Go
problem.
shopping at discount stores a lot.
I think we put like the.
Who, does anybody?
Looks like the vice president is willing to take it on.
Yeah, I'm willing to take it on with some help.
Do you elect somebody?
Yes, like to help me with that.
Okay.
Well, you got some inside
You're the one who
information,
seconded my
don't you?
motion.
You got a couple sisters who worked in the deli business, and
You second my motion, so you're not
Yeah,
helping.
we know
I
this
know
is
they
store.
sell it at Glenwood.
Like mine.
Well, I'm part of that too.
Okay.
So
So that covers
Well,
the drinks. A minute.
What we should do is see
Apple.
how much
anybody,
it is.
like,
Everybody, when you go to the
Cheapest.
store,
Yeah,
just look
gotcha.
and then.
Cider. Or we could just buy the cider now and then freeze it and then
so would we buy it on the student council's
Bring it.
budget or whatever?
I mean, we could buy
Pick
it.
up apple.
or you could just make your own apple cider. I don't know.
I don't know how to make my own apple cider.
Anyway,
Just squish it out.
okay, so that's drinks
It's
and
a
then
lot harder than that.
what about the so we have the entree. What about the side dish? Like chips or something. Yeah.
Order!
Alright. What's the besides the subs and the drinks? What else? Like chips or something.
Lay's barbecue.
Rice Krispie treats. Those are good. Yeah.
So it could be just the sub and then a dessert
Or
for the
Chick-fil-A.
side.
Or the Chick-fil-A.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think it's nice to have something with it. Like just
So it'd probably be most likely be a dessert type
yeah.
Ice cream bars.
ice cream bars. Are there any
Gummies.
gummies?
Like what type of gum are we talking about? This sours? or-
Black Forest.
Yes, Black Forest is good.
But will everybody want that? That's the thing.
Who
I mean,
doesn't want
I don't
that?
think I don't know, maybe Mr. Fisher likes gummies, but
Yes, he does. Look at that smile on his face.
I haven't met many candy.
My dad does.
See, he likes.
You would buy them.
But at the same time, I think I probably would personally be more interested in a Rice Krispie treat or an ice cream bar.
okay.
Okay.
Are there any motions to
But it
I
is
think
Select.
we should decide on, because there are a ton of people that come to the baby teachers conference, so
We
we
gotta
shouldn't have
appeal
too
to
many
all.
options, or we'd end up losing money.
We have to appeal to everybody.
yeah,
Appeal to the people.
appeal?
So
Okay.
we're gonna go with bananas.
Yeah. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Banana.
So.
An appeal with appeals to the people.
Should've saw that one.
Yeah, I think
Banana splits?
I think it would be nice to
Banana
have fruit
splits.
with it.
It'd be kind of
Fruit.
weird for James.
Fruit would always be.
Fruit.
I think we
Fruit's
should just
healthy.
leave it to fruit, the chips, and like the Rice Krispie treats.
Okay. Chips. Chips.
So-
Oh,
Or
so
we could do
so-
fruit, chips, and ice cream sandwiches,
okay.
or ice cream bars, because those sound really good.
Ice cream bars, yeah.
Yeah, because
They are
they're
good.
not super popular,
Oh.
so they might be more appealing.
You know,
The,
Ice cream.
We can get a really cheap. We can get a.
We could do hot cocoa.
what's
Cocoa.
wrong with it being in January? Why is what's wrong with having cold stuff in cold weather?
I agree with
Like,
her.
that's my question with all these people.
I would eat an ice cream sandwich.
See,
Bars
I
for
eat
$5.
what
I know, but if I were in the cold basement of the church, I would not.
It's not gonna be cool.
They got heating.
Was it cold today? Did you consider it cold today?
I wasn't down there.
They have heating.
freezing today.
Cool.
Downstairs?
You know they got. We should buy that.
If they're having people.
Yeah, because you're moving around.
Or nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to decide if the side is going to be a dessert or if it's going to be just like a bag of chips. So let's anybody motion that it's a dessert or no motions. Who's in favor? All in favor of a dessert? Say aye.
I.
4 and 3.
Everybody
Okay.
said I guess.
Who's in favor of a bag of chips?
Should we do a bag of chips and dessert, or just?
I think we should just do one because that means if it was both, we'd have to raise our price up and people might not.
We spend all that money and we really only spend, we get money on only one of those things. Because people are for one. The other.
Okay, so all in favor dessert, say aye again. Just make it. Dessert, aye. No?
Aye.
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 That's 3,
Aye.
4.
Aye.
Okay, that's 4 still. Okay, so dessert. Okay,
So
dessert.
we're
But don't
having a
forget the
sub and
people
an
in
ice cream
line.
sandwich and that's it.
And so
And a drink. A drink.
Hey, Ruth,
But you weren't
Really
even
replacing or chips.
He was in favor of it.
got any comments on live stream?
Okay. So the dessert we said was gonna be a ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
Ice cream sandwich or
Or Rice
Rice
Krispies.
Krispies.
We could do both. I like 2 options.
Well, 2 options might lose money.
yeah. I think we should only do one thing. And if they don't want it, they don't want
We
it.
got a comment from Kent saying, "Hello, the secretary is watching."
I can't. Hopefully you're taking lots of notes. Okay. So, okay.
I think maybe we should have all of the entire class vote which one they think should be. Because
On what?
Okay.
on like.
So, like, send out an
dessert,
email?
On dessert?
Yeah, maybe we should look at the prices at the store.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
So, yeah.
Email for
So
dessert.
moving back to the drinks, y'all thought of that hot Coke.
Yeah, hot Coke would be
But apple cider was.
Apple cider.
We do hot apples, I don't.
apple cider, hot apple cider,
Well, I always- when I say apple cider, I
You-
meant apple
You can get apple cider packets if you guys are.
Apple cider package? You mean like powdered apple cider?
Yeah.
We're getting fake apple cider. We're not gonna real. Come on.
I mean, we'd rather make more money than lose it. It's to raise money, not lose it.
Well, in that case, bring out the country time.
Okay.
I think
Is there any other things that we need to talk about? Anybody?
I'll say, I mean, having hot drinks like hot cocoa, and even if you do end up doing some like apple cider, you're not going to spend a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good option.
Okay.
And you could charge like,
$3.
$3 a cup? How big's the cup?
if you ever, I would not advise that much. No.
He doesn't. You do
But
not.
then we
You can do it like they do at the fair or like Disney World, and like you can charge like 25 cents for a little cup, or you can like do,
A $3.
or get your reusable, collector's item cup for $3.
Usually the collector's items cup are like 25. At Hershey Park, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Is there any other state of business that needs to be discussed or you want to discuss?
So I was still a little.
Or questions,
Like
comments?
I've never done anything with a big scale, and so what are the methods of selling them that people have used and found
well,
best?
There'll be a sheet, a form that's gonna be emailed to you, and then you print that out, or print a couple of them out.
And so you pass those out to people, and then they
Well-
send them back to you with what they want.
So usually the form is like, it has enough room for multiple people. They put their name, the type of bread they want, and then how much they're giving, and then they usually leave like a phone number or email address or something. So you,
And then you tell them the
and
bread.
then
So
you tell them when their bread will come, and then you bake the bread and give it to them. But also, it's also approach of getting it sold.
And if we're in there.
So you go door to door and ask them. to
You
fill out a
could do
form,
door to
but-
door or just door to
You can do,
neighbors,
yeah, you could go to,
grandparents.
it doesn't matter who, as long as someone will buy it. You can go
Just
door
walk
to
up to
door,
somebody at the park.
or a mix of door to door in your
You could just
church,
have them call us.
or just go to the grocery store or something like that. I don't know if they'll allow that there.
Go
But
to a park, just ask them, want some people.
yeah,
Or you could have like the breads already made and just go door to door and be like, do you want some? Like,
yeah, or you could
it
do
costs this
that,
much.
or you could do that. Usually, people who are forced into things usually buy them.
Yeah.
We're not.
And if they like see the bread, like see
Yeah.
I would.
You have to.
Get it right before dinner.
This is an advisory comment. I'm not telling you not to do this. I'm just saying that in this world that we live in currently, you probably will not get very many buyers if you're taking food door to door, just because people are probably cautious about it. I mean, you can
Yeah,
try.
true. That is
So
true.
what you might do better is, make a list of people and contact them directly.
Yeah,
No.
And you might even contact your neighbors if you have it.
You could.
Before you bring them food.
you could have a sheet. Are there pictures of the breads? Have a sheet of pictures of the bread so they know what it looks like.
Or you
That
do
would
the
be
best
good too
part.
for a visual.
You take the bread, you put it on their step, ring the doorbell, put a IOU $5 and just read.
Oh, you could do like
Your parents all get the little fundraiser letters from different organizations, and my favorite thing about that is a little card with like, how much would you like to send, $15, $25, $500, and then, or other gift.
You get one of those too? Okay. Are there any questions, comments, or anything that you think needs to be discussed? No comments, questions? Anybody online can,
So,
if you have my email address,
Ruth,
ask me or
can you
Kent.
check the live stream one more time?
Any questions?
Yeah, if they have any questions, send them in.
No.
so then we can do like other fundraisers just ourselves at home, and then just send the money to.
So this is a designated fundraiser, but is it fine if they do their own separate fundraiser to fundraise money?
I'm going to step in and say, if the student council has decided on a fundraiser, you need to participate in that one, for sure.
Yeah.
If you have other ways of
Making money for them.
getting other people to donate to the student council, sure, there's nothing that's going to stop you from doing that, but you need
The
to
only
make sure
way-
you participate.
Yeah.
The only way we're gonna make money is if everyone participates.
Yeah.
That's the only way
Takes
we're
all
actually
of us.
going to. It takes all of us, yeah. It takes all
Hang
of us.
together or else we will hang separately.
hmm Okay, I think that's it. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed?
So everybody's got their action, you know what steps of action you're taking?
Just to recap, the sub meal sold for $8.50. That wasn't changed. The meal consists of a sub, either ham and cheese or turkey and roast beef, a drink, or sodas or apple cider, or hot cocoa, chocolate. And then I'm going to send an email to find out what people want for dessert. And then the designated fundraiser, so that's for mid-conference. That's what it's called, right? Mid-years conference. And then the designated fundraiser that we'll be doing for is the bread sale, which consists of cinnamon swirl, pumpkin bread, and lemon blueberry, which we're selling for $7.50. All agreed to that. Well, most of us agreed to that.
I mentioned it.
Okay. And that's it. So, yeah. I don't have that type of form, so are you going to email me? Are you going to? Okay.
What am I emailing you again?
The
form,
the
yeah.
type of form,
Yeah,
or am I
yeah.
creating my own? And I'll
I'll
send
send you what Kirsten put together last year, so you have something to work with.
Okay.
Will the bread sale be available to people who can't come and pick it up in person? Like, y'all aren't going to mail packages of bread to people if they signed up for it online and that?
Well, Light really wants to get stuff to people in Mongolia, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that costs like $40 for a box.
I guess you're gonna charge them a lot, then, aren't you? Well, it's $7.50 for the loaf, but
It's another $450 on there. So like, if because we can make up little emails and send them out to all the families in the school to let them know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're gonna send one email,
Mm-hmm.
maybe two, but they're taking responsibility for working with their customers.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not, other than giving you guys publicity, we're not doing anything else for you.
So we're not offering a sign up here for this or
The form that they're gonna send out is very,
Basically, I'm gonna get
very
the
easy to handle.
I'm gonna get the form, and I'm gonna send it to everyone, and then your job is just to get that form filled up and give bread to people. And yeah, give money to the
We could go
treasury.
door to door to our neighbors.
You can do
And
anything.
give them pamphlets.
You can do anything
They
that
can
will
bring
forget the
it to
bread.
us or mail it to us, and then we can walk back with the bread.
So, I'll answer that. So what you should do is you need to keep track of your orders, keep track of what people have paid you, and then bring your money, and yes, give it to me at the next time you come here.
And make sure that
But-
the bread gets to them.
Make sure you also tell Adia what you made so that she can, and any expenses that you had.
So how much?
I'm also gonna put a clarification on that. If you're fine donating your parents' flour to the bread making thing. I'm saying, if you go to considerable expense to make the bread, then you can be reimbursed for it, but anyway, all to say is that anything you make and anything you want to be reimbursed for, you need to let ADA know that. So she's keeping track of the stuff.
You wouldn't just deduct your profits from your expenses from your profit.
Yeah, you will be doing that collectively.
But
So, I have one question for you, Mr. Joe. People are putting the money up front, and then if they want to be reimbursed for it, they can. To make the bread themselves, or the student council's
Yeah,
paying them.
the general rule is that if you're expending money or your family is expending money for a student council project, then you can be reimbursed for it from the student council. If you would like to donate your time and some of your resources that you have to that cause, because, you know, like I said, it's a lot cheaper to make 10 loaves of bread with, you know, a bulk amount of flour or whatever than it is to go out and buy 10 pre-made loaves of bread, then you can do that too. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. It's up to every family what they want to be reimbursed for, but
Okay. Alright, so I believe that is it. Yeah, that's it.
all right, very good.
Alright, this student council is adjourned. Good talk.